Today, it's the four-wheel and off-road Jamboree Spring Nationals from the Allen County Fairgrounds here in Lima, Ohio. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Lee, and welcome to Trucks and Tractor Power on the Nashville Network. When spring is in the air, it means new iron in the pit area, including last year's winner. And here with that story is Army Armstrong.
Gary, last year's Class 5 winner, Fred Wilhite, rolled back into the pit area with a vehicle that looks the same, but the word on the street is this is a brand new ride. As a matter of fact, the word we get, the motor's only been run about 30 seconds, and the car's never been down the track.
It hasn't even been muddy yet. We moved it around in the parking lot a little bit, and that's all she's done under her own power.
Let me ask you this. You got a reputation for driving, kind of the wild man out there. You're going to make the first run. What kind of run will it be? Full kill, or are you going to lay back and try to see how it runs, or what?
Cut a good light, and I'll let off at the end.
Gary, I think if you look at his helmet, that kind of explains it all, though. No brain, no pain. Back to you, Gary.
We'll just call him my favorite Martian. Well, the pit has been dug on what's normally a pulling track, so there's a hard clay bottom. Now, several classes have already run, so the track is really overworked. As we take a look at Gary Osteen, driver of the Dirty Bird, getting ready for his run. He's also in some new equipment, and earlier Army asked him about it.
Gary Osteen out of Daytona Beach, Florida, has always danced to a little bit different drummer. What I mean is, he runs a supercharged Ford engine. Everybody thinks he's kind of strange for that with the Dirty Bird vehicle, but really, you're still developing the Ford engine. Last year, aluminum heads. This year, I understand, a complete aluminum block assembly.
Yes, we went and bit the bullet and cost us a lot of money, but we've finally got up enough money to gather up and get us an aluminum block. It's made by NMRO out of California. It's supposed to put out a little bit more horsepower, and I hope it really does. We're still trying to get the bugs out of it, and hopefully we can do that today.
Our first matchup will find Tom Martin in the Mud Patrol and Mike YOSHA in a Hyperactive, a pair of fiberglass Vicky bodies.
Now, YOSHA, the Hyperactive vehicle out of Indianapolis, Indiana, is actually the old Tom Martin vehicle. So he's driving a vehicle that he knows will be a runner. Tom Martin himself out of Portage, Indiana, steps up with a brand new concept. Move the engine a little bit forward, trying to get a little bit better balance. But what we're going to see here, no matter what, is one whale of a mud race. I'll guarantee you that.
Tom Martin, the near lane. Mike YOSHA, the far lane. It's only going to take 2 seconds.
The first two in the pits, the track is good. It should be a real quick track because it's smooth. Oh, YOSHA put the big guy on the trailer. Look at here, YOSHA, 2-second run.
2.82 to a 3.24. 282 for Mike YOSHA.
I bet Martin wishes he hadn't sold it to him now. Wow, that YOSHA's always been a player. He just stepped up and got some real good equipment now, and this proves that he can run with anybody.
Well, he got on top of the mud and laid down a great shot. Let's go down trackside and visit with Mike YOSHA.
Well, you bought a vehicle from another guy and just beat him up with it with a good time, a 2.8. That was a good run.
Well, I think the track conditions out there are great, and I think the day is great for racing, and I'm just glad to be here.
Let me ask you something. Is the track going to get, first guy out of the box, is that track going to get better, or is it going to go away?
Normally, the track is better first out, but you never can tell. You just got to wait and see.
And Army, we understand that Martin lost the blower belt on his car. As we take a look at Gary Osteen, we'll see what that new aluminum power plant can develop in the way of horsepower. He'll be taking on a guy from just down the I-75 from here, Chad Miller from Vandalia, Ohio, in Instant T.
Miller runs a 509 cubic inch all aluminum supercharged engine. Sounds like a handful, and it is. It's a 27 roadster body. Meanwhile, the Florida-based flyer, OSTEEN, closest to the camera, all aluminum Ford engine. Man, OSTEEN has a problem. Miller goes through.
Let's check the time for Miller, see if he can 3.382. That's quick, but not nearly fast enough at that 283 turned in earlier by Mike YOSHA, and the Dirty Bird did not finish.
Boy, it's a long way from Florida just to not go any further than that.
Well, there's another look at the Dirty Bird braking in mid-lane, and we'll come back with more from Lima, Ohio. Welcome back to Lima, Ohio, where Ford Trucks present the four-wheel Jamboree Spring Nationals, part of the Special Events Performance Series. Coming up next, Al Ash, a man we've seen win a few races in Bloomsburg with that 412 cubic inch Rodec and a 3-speed Linco, and he will go up against Glenn Siebold. There's a look at Al Ash out of Intercourse, Pennsylvania in Beefy Blue. and Glenn Seabolt out of Georgia in legal speed.
Glenn Seabolt's one of these guys. These two guys remind you of Happy the Clown. Both of them have a real good personality. They just like to go fast.
They're fun guys to be around.
Yeah, you're exactly right. But when that lineup right now is real serious. Boy, Ash looked good in that far lane.
He laid down a great run. Let's check the time. 283 is the one we're looking to beat at 283.6. 283.6. The other was a 283.2. So that puts him second on the leaderboard. Glenn Seabolt at 317.
Gary, the track conditions are not allowing these guys to weasel or porpoise. They're able to get a good straight shot out of this thing.
Al Ash lays down a good run. He's with Army.
A 283.6. That makes you second quick. A 283.2 is quick, but you did it out of the left lane, and you look like you had it figured out.
Well, the guy before me was slow, and he went pretty straight. I think that helped me a little bit. I shifted early. I didn't want to do that, but I think it helped me to hook up. It pulled the motor down, then it hooked up and took off, and I hope it helped me. I don't know. We'll see if it holds.
Coming up next, Stan Trimble. He's an auto shop teacher from Jeffersonville, Kentucky. And Bill's Rat, he takes on Jeff Ballard in the Pork Brothers Express, also out of Kentucky.
You know, these guys out of the Bluegrass State could have stayed home and run against each other, but they're up here chasing a national championship. I'd like to have a school teacher that did this on a weekend.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, Mr.
He could have a pit crew of all students.
Have his own cheerleading squad. That's right. Right now,
Ballard was in trouble immediately. Trimble gets through, slides to a stop, and rolls it over.
Mr. Trimble.
Well, that's an example of what not to do when you get out of the pit in the shutdown area.
Okay, now we do have a situation here. We've got to be aware of the fuel cell starting to leak in the front of the vehicle. The driver's coming out. Safety crews are out. Everything's okay.
Both drivers are out. The crowd responds. There's Trimble. He's okay. But they were going to throw some water, I think, on that alcohol to neutralize the alcohol.
Yep.
Now, watch again. He gets in trouble at a very slow part. He's actually almost to a stop.
Yeah, he's actually trying to backpedal, shuts it down, and this is what you call high siding. Get crossed up, and it just rolls on over.
Nice, easy rollover, and probably minimal damage, if any damage, to the vehicle.
That's easy for you and I to say, because we're sitting up here.
It's not our paycheck that's going to fix it.
You want to flip her? Can we flip her? Well, I'll tell you what, for a school teacher, I'm glad you don't teach driver ed. Are you okay?
I'm in fine shape. It's easy rollover. It got a little left. I knew it was left, and I should have let it roll, but I got on the brakes a little more than I should.
What exactly caused it?
I hooked a little rut right in the middle, and it came hard to the, well, really to the right, left from where we're at here, but it came hard to the right, felt like. And when I come through the lights, you can see my tracks, they just came out here, and I got on the binders too hard, and should let it roll out. There's plenty of room. Inexperienced, not enough.
No, we're glad you're okay.
Thank you.
Well, it's always nice to have a driver say, I made a mistake. Here's Jeff Ballard. He had some problems in that near lane.
I think he could have broken an axle at the left front or the right front, because what happened, the vehicle came out and immediately made a hard left turn. So, boy, a lot of action all over already. And we're seeing more and more of this type of action each week we go out with these mud racers. This is a good show.
Army, let's take a look at a wild run from earlier in the competition. Mark House in the near lane and Pure Hell taking on Matt Hospenthal in the far lane. And watch Hospenthal right at the finish line. Knocks over the timing light, so he was DQ'd.
He goes out of the program, but in the other lane, Pure Hell, a 309. That's a good number for Mark House.
And back at the starting line, notice the antenna coming up out of the cockpit. This is the man who won this event last year, Fred Wilhite. He has a brand new car, the new money pit, because he completely destroyed his old car in a wild, spectacular wreck indoors.
Yeah, but he'll be going up against a guy in a vehicle that goes by the name of TICKLED Pink. It'd be Ron Graff out of Michigan. Graff being the lane closest to it, Wilhite furthest away. A lot of people watching Wilhite because he was a winner last year, but they're watching the lane he's running in, because that lane has been coming to and going away from these guys all day long. A whole lot of the lane condition. Boom, we blow in on the starting line. Wilhite goes out the end. Gary, what kind of time did he turn?
Lays down a good run, not fast enough to take the top of the leaderboard. He's now third. And there is a look at TICKLED Pink.
He banged a blower, lifted the supercharger, but the safety straps held the supercharger in place, so he'll be able to put it back together.
Take a look one more time at this run. The far lane, Fred Wilhite. Notice the balls, the antennae coming out of the helmet.
I like that.
Here's Fred with Army.
All right, Gary, it's time to beam me up, Scotty. A 295 puts you third, Fred. That's not bad in a lane that has really looked rough out there today.
Yeah, the car's got potential. Like I say, that's the first pass it's ever made. So if I can get it running as good as my old car, we got a lot of potential here.
Tell me about that lane. You had a flip out of the lane. A lot of guys backpedaled in it, but you went straight. You know, is the car so new you can't tell me why, or why did you go straight?
Actually, the ride height and the suspension, everything was identical to the other car, and it was a straight goer. Yeah, I had no problems doing it. I just hit a few things on my indoor circuit and kind of destroyed my chassis.
More mudslinging coming your way from Lima, Ohio. Army Armstrong and Gary Lee back at the Allen County Fairgrounds here in Lima, Ohio. As our competition continues, we look at the leaderboard. Mike YOSHA stands on top, Al Ash second, then it's Fred Wilhite, Mark House, and Brian HEROLD. Well, of course, the track is really beating up these drivers. We'll show you what we mean by taking a look at some highlights from earlier in the competition. An uncharacteristically slow pass for Tom Means, who told us his problem may be too much motor.
The motor's running so much better this year, and we're gonna have to back the motor down a little bit because it just roasted the tires all the way.
Ron Smith, a Class 5 Jamboree winner in Indianapolis, taking on Brian HEROLD, and it would be the Surf Rat moving into the number 5 spot with a 3.153 blast.
This kid, Brian HEROLD's got a future in this sport. He's working his way up and really starting to lay down some good numbers, Gary.
Shane Back, attitude adjuster, and he would have a rough time in the near lane.
He starts to porpoise, bounce up and down, and it caught up with him, Gary.
Well, and after this run, you had a chance to talk to Shane Back.
The starting line's awful slick, and we just got the wrong setup on the clutch right now for the line, and it's awful ready, and I'm trying to run these big front tires, and it just jerked the steering wheel plumb out of my hand. Could not hold it.
Well, similar problems would plague Tom Marsh in the Intruder, taking on Dan Fuchs and living on the edge, but it would be Marsh pulling it out of the fire. Well, this is earlier in competition here in Lima, Ohio.
Good side-by-side run, but Marsh literally wheels up, whoa, and then has to backpedal when he gets through the finish line. He actually powered up on the rear wheel, did a wheelie, if you will, out the pit, Gary.
Well, that was a scary situation for just a moment. Now watch the right lane as he comes into the shutdown area. He's in trouble right there as he crosses the line, and he had a chance to talk to Army.
This is a new motor, and I really didn't know what to expect, and I let her wind, and I shifted it, and it really didn't carry it very well. It hooked up there towards the end, but really wasn't very happy with the track or the way the car ran.
Well, back to action now. Back to the starting line. Dan Brown, the new driver of the Mind Games, taking over the chores from Mike Hickerson. He'll be taking on Dan Fuchs in Turtles Toy. Brown in the Ultra 23 Power Pro chassis with a 600 cubic inch blowing Pontiac engine.
This Mind Game setup with Brown doing the driving could be the future of the sport. A lot of guys are starting to put together their resources, and this is what we're getting out of it. Good, quick time, and good quality equipment.
Good time. Look at that at 2.763. 2.763, and that is the quick run here this afternoon. Take a look again.
Look at the lane it came out of, too. This has to be a perfect run, and he still powers them up, Gary.
Oh, that's an exciting run, and here's Dan.
Call him Get Down Brown. What can we say? A 2.73. 2.763 is what I get.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough ride, Army, down on that top end. It felt like I was going over the wall, but if I got out of it, it'd been too late, so just stand in it, and it got a little squirrely in the shutdown, but just stood back on it, straightened right back out.
Back on the starting line, it's Tony Farrell, the Blue Ribbon Bandit, taking on Steve Sparks in Wild Thing. It's been Farrell who's shown us some wild things in the past at the Spring Nationals in his 23 Alter T.
Oh, he's still lumping.
Hang on there. Hang on there. Once again, a very lazy rollover. Then it looked like he tagged the throttle.
Man, this is awesome. This is weird the way it's happening. These guys can't figure this Lima track out or even the shutdown area.
Well, that's why the roll cage, you can see the driver is okay, hanging upside down, securely fastened inside the cockpit, and the roll cage keeps the weight of the vehicle off the driver. Now look again in the near lane.
Yeah, the vehicle comes out of the pit. Okay, he's out of the pit right now. Now he starts to backpedal. It gets a little bit crossed up. And here we go, the high side I talked about. But right now he hits the throttle. Watch this.
He just wings it right there. But once again, Tony Farrell is okay. The emergency crew there as we take one more look now in that left lane. coming right at you. He's in trouble right off the start.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, like you say, you only got 2 seconds to play this game. You don't have time to rethink it. You just got to go.
It looked to me like he tried to pull it out like when you high side a monster truck, you stay on the throttle. That's what he did. Let's go down and check in, Army.
Well, Gary, as you can see, the safety crews were Johnny on the spot. They talked to the driver. He said, I'm okay. George Carpenter and the crew decided just to immediately go ahead and right the vehicle back up. Ironically, on the back of the car, it says this end up. He didn't follow his own directions here.
Sure.
Real quick, you going to be okay?
Oh, yeah, we'll go back. We're going to get ready for tomorrow.
What caused it to let go like that?
Well, I started getting a little sideways. I knew I was going to road track. Started to stab it and pull myself out of it, and it just didn't work.
We'll let you go see the EMTs. I'm glad you're all right.
Thanks.
As we had surmised with the four-wheel drive vehicle, he tried to pull it back out by nailing the throttle. It, as he said, simply did not work, but he is okay. A good crowd on hand. Remember, Tony was the one that drove out of his rear wheels here 1 year ago, but he's okay, and we'll come back with more action from Lima, Ohio. The four-wheel Jamborees are part of the Special Events Performance Series featuring a host of activities for the entire family. Pick up the latest in aftermarket parts and accessories with a visit to the manufacturer's Midway. There's also a show and shine competition with prizes in more than 28 categories. Find out more by calling or writing the Special Events Promotion Company. More Class 5 highlights now from the Allen County Fairgrounds here in Lima, Ohio, as we take a look at the chemical reaction. This is Mike Behrman.
Behrman Brothers, they're involved in the agricultural industry. They like to run real strong, pick the right lane, had a relatively good run with a 3:050 time, not in that 2-second bracket.
Here's Craig Jones against Bob Monk.
Again, the right lane looked to be the place to be.
Like he has a little suspension problem there on that right front corner.
Yeah, he broke an axle is what happened there and collapsed the front end. Now, this guy here, Mad Max, Mike Thomas, a gentleman that makes a lot of horsepower. Look at the rear wheels. He literally blew the tires off the rear end of the car. That is some horsepower.
Now it's Ron Pence and Bob Heisner. Ron Pence, of course, a regular in the Tater mud racer. And he lays down a good run in that left lane. Heisner's was a 3.220. And Ron Pence was a 3.390.
What's starting to happen as we get into the last couple of shots is the starting line seems to really be getting hard. The very first of the show, you talked about Jeremy Finley running that right lane, which is on top of an old pulling track. Well, he and Al Stebbins draw at the bottom of this field, and the starting line does not look that good. The mud's one thing, but you got to get going first, and the starting line is just basically hard packed right now.
So once again, the luck of the draw plays a major role in this type of competition.
Your leader watching to see if anybody can get to him. This is the last two, but either one of these guys can, and they've had all day long to try to figure the track out. Did they figure it out? Whoa,
no,
we got a number.
It doesn't look to be quick enough, though, at 2.775. Ever so close. That would be good for second, but Jeremy Finley well off at a 3.2. So Dan Brown takes the win at 2.76. Al Stebbins second, 2.77. That's Mike Yosha, Al Ash, and Fred Wilhite. Here's your winner.
Well, Gary, 50 vehicles made the call today. The winner standing with me comes out of the middle of the field, and I think everybody kind of had to use their brain out there today. Dan, Mike put a good car on there, but both you guys had to sit and think about this to get that right combination, didn't you?
Yeah, Mike was up the line watching them cars take off, and he's seen everybody just blowing their tires away, and we decided to go to the left side of the line, just get one wheel width over all them ruts and shoot for caddy corner to cross the pit. We got about 3/4 way down there, and I was hitting. I was going to get the lights. I backpedaled a little bit, and that's when the front end come back up. And we was talking a little bit ago. I think we tripped the lights with the back tires.
Well, that would be an impressive run if you tripped the lights with the back tires. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. We'll see you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power. Now here's news of an exciting video release from Diamond P Sports.